Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Nishit Kumar bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India calls for concerted efforts to fight terrorism globally. Pakistan Election Commission disqualifies former Prime Minister Imran Khan from holding public office for 5 years. In the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak lead race to become the next Prime Minister. Diwali to be a public school holiday in New York City starting next year. In sports, in the T20 World Cup, two-time champions West Indies knocked out of the tournament by Ireland. And in Denmark Open Badminton, Lakshya Sen to take on Kodai Naraoka of Japan in the men's singles quarterfinal at Odense. Indian Home Minister Amit Shah has called for a cross-border cooperation to fight cross-border terrorism. Addressing the concluding session of the 90th Interpol General Assembly in New Delhi on Friday, Mr. Shah said that without cooperation, terrorism cannot be defeated. He said that towards this, the role of Interpol is very important. Mr. Shah said that he strongly believes that terrorism is the biggest violation of human rights and is a global challenge. He stressed on reaching a consensus on the definition on terrorism and terrorists, and if it is not done, then we cannot fight resolutely against terrorism. The Indian Home Minister said that the narrative of good terrorism, bad terrorism, and small and big terrorism cannot go together, and also called for a global consensus on the challenges of propagating ideology of cross-border terrorism through online radicalization. He stressed that we all should be committed to a continuous, comprehensive, and effective fight against terrorism. The Home Minister recommended the Interpol to set up a permanent real-time information exchange mechanism among the counter-terrorism agencies of all its member countries. Mr. Shah said that the government has decided to create a national database on crimes such as terrorism, narcotics, and economic offences.
The Home Minister of India on Friday paid tributes to martyred soldiers on the occasion of Police Commemoration Day at the National Police Memorial in Delhi on Friday. Speaking on the occasion, he said in the last few years, the country has witnessed a positive change in the internal security scenario. He said earlier incidents of violence were on the rise in the northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, and the left-wing extremism-affected areas. Mr. Shah added that such incidents have come down drastically in the last 8 years.
आजादी के 75 साल के बाद हम आज संतोष से इतना कह सकते हैं कि हम हमारे गंतव्य स्थान पर निश्चित रूप से दृढ़ इच्छा शक्ति के साथ और दृढ़ गति से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। मगर ये सारी उपलब्धियां जो देश प्राप्त कर रहा है, उसकी नींव में हमारे जवानों की सर्वोच्च बलिदान है। देश भर के पुलिस फोर्स और सीएपीएफ के 35,000 से ज्यादा जवानों ने देश की आंतरिक सुरक्षा और देश की सीमाओं को रक्षा करने के लिए अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया है। मैं आज कृतज्ञ राष्ट्र की ओर से वो सभी जवानों को विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं।
The Home Minister said several measures have been taken by the Indian government to strengthen the internal security of the country. The Police Commemoration Day is observed on the 21st of October every year to honor the loyalty and supreme sacrifice of the police personnel for the nation. In the last 1 year, 264 police personnel were martyred, and so far 36,059 brave police personnel have laid down their lives for the country.
Lieutenant Governor of the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, has said that on the behest of a neighbouring country, certain desperate elements are targeting innocent civilians. The Lieutenant Governor said that he wants to assure the people of Jammu and Kashmir that each teardrop of families will be avenged, and we will pay a befitting tribute to our martyrs by striking the last nail in the coffin of terrorism. Mr. Sinha was speaking at the Police Commemoration Day parade held at the Armed Police Complex at Zevan in Srinagar on Friday. The Lieutenant Governor said that it is only due to the sheer grit and dedication of our police and security forces that the terror ecosystem is breathing its last breath, and we are determined to stamp out the terrorism menace.
Indian Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, has said that indigenous weapon systems are the only way forward for the Indian Army in view of the global situation arising out of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Underscoring the significance of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India during an interaction with select journalists, the Army Chief said the conflict has taught us to be more self-reliant.
The Russia-Ukraine conflict, the ongoing conflict, so that has taught us many significant things and lessons, if you like, and one of the main things has been as to how you become more self-sufficient, how you become self-reliant, how you become less dependent on foreign supply chains in terms of not only your sustenance, that is ammunition, spares, etc., but also new procurement. So that has been our main focus and we are working towards it. So indigenization of ammunition, we are looking at alternate sources of spares. This is a good opportunity for even our industry to come up and become sources for our sustenance spares. So this is how we are looking at as to how we can take this forward.
The Indian Army Chief further said that indigenization is an opportunity, not an impediment. General Manoj Pandey said that the contract signed with the indigenous defense industry have seen a threefold jump in the last 4 years and that orders worth 8 lakh crore rupees will be placed with the Indian companies within the next 10 years. On the question on what are the new technologies that Army is looking to induct in the near future, General Pandey said there is a requirement for equipment and platforms for intelligence surveillance, reconnaissance roles including UAVs, counter-drone systems, ground-based surveillance systems and radar systems as well as special armament such as loitering munitions.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring to you news commentary on Def Expo 2022, Path to Pride.
In yet another path-breaking step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is, self-reliant India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Def Expo 2022 in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Describing it as a symbol of global trust towards India, Prime Minister said it is aimed at giving impetus to India's defence sector and it is being held under the theme Path to Pride and witnessed the largest ever participation in Indian Defence Expo held till date. In fact, the event had over 1,300 exhibitors including the country's defence industry, joint ventures associated with the Indian defence sector, MSMEs as also over 100 startups. Defence ministers, service chiefs and senior officials from over 80 countries participated in it. This is a testament to India's growing defence business potential. Though this was the 12th edition, it was the first Defence Expo where only Indian companies participated and featured only made in India equipment, with India focusing on the mantra of intent, innovation and implementation in the strategic sector of defence. An ambitious export target of Rs 40,000 crore has been set for the future. Prime Minister Modi aptly put it, as India sees her defence sector as an infinite sky of opportunities. With the country earmarking 68% of its defence budget for Indian companies, coupled with policies, reforms and the ease of doing business, all these factors have played a pivotal role in reaching this point. This augurs well for the goal of Atmanirbharta, that is, self-reliance. The country's defence sector is seeing a revolutionary growth. This can be gauged from the fact that till about 80 years ago, India was recognized as the world's largest defence importer. But there has been a sea change now, with country's defence exports having grown many times in the last 5 years alone, thus reversing that impression. India now exports defence materials and equipment to more than 75 countries. In 2021-22, defence exports from India touched a new high of $1.59 billion. In the coming years, India has set a target to reach $5 billion, said Mr. Modi. In fact, several countries have evinced keen interest towards indigenously made Indian modern fighter jet, Tejas, while many Indian companies are already supplying defence equipment even to countries such as the USA, Israel, Italy, to name a few. Throwing light on making the country's defence sector self-reliant, it was highlighted by the Prime Minister that the Indian Army has finalized 2 lists of equipment which would be procured only within the country. The list of 101 such items was also released, following which there will now be 411 such equipment of defence sector which will only be bought under the Make in India scheme. The Prime Minister's remarks that the event paints a picture of New India and its capabilities, whose resolve is being forged at the time of Amrit Kal, and that it has hopes for the world and opportunities for the friendly nations, adds significance to it. The event showcased the expansive scope and scale of the country's defense manufacturing prowess and had an India pavilion besides 10 state pavilions. Not only did the Prime Minister unveil HTT-40, the indigenous trainer aircraft, during the program, but also launched Mission DIF Space, aimed at developing innovative solutions for the defense forces in the space domain through industry and startups. The Indian Pavilion, a marquee pavilion of the Defence Production Department, showcased the maturity of indigenous defence products, startups and latest technology, including artificial intelligence or AI, in defence while presenting India's vision for 2047. The expo also witnessed the second India-Africa Defence Dialogue under the theme India-Africa, adopting strategy for synergizing defence and security cooperation, as also the second Indian Ocean Region Conclave. This provided a stage for a comprehensive dialogue to promote defence cooperation among the Indian Ocean Region Plus nations. During the expo, the first ever investors meet for defence took place, witnessing more than 100 startups getting an opportunity to showcase their innovations at Manthan 2022. The event also saw the forging of 451 partnerships or launches through the event Bandhan. It is hoped that DIF Expo 2022 would prove to be a watershed event for taking India's defence sector on an upper trajectory.
India's Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said that the country is preparing to celebrate the International Year of Millets on a global scale. The minister said this while holding a meeting with International Affairs and Cooperation Minister of Botswana, Dr. Lemogam Kwepe, in New Delhi on Friday. Dr. Lemogam Kwepe, who is on a visit to India, met Mr. Tomar to discuss the issues of cooperation between the two countries in agriculture and allied sectors. In the meeting, both the ministers expressed satisfaction at the bilateral relations between the two countries. Mr. Tomar said that overseas Indians are making a significant contribution to the economy of Botswana. He spoke about the possibility of further enhancing bilateral trade to increase the benefits of farmers and producers of both the countries. Both the ministers emphasized on promoting the cultivation of new trace cereals on a large scale in view of their nutritious value and significance. Both sides also discussed the issues of market access for their agricultural products and assured each other of resolving the issues at the earliest. Both the ministers also agreed upon the early revival of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the two governments in January 2010 and cooperation in agriculture and allied sectors.
The Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, is planning to launch Chandrayaan-3, its third mission to the moon, in June next year. Interacting with media persons on the sidelines of an event in Delhi, ISRO Chairman S. Somnath said that Chandrayaan-3 is ready now. ISRO has made Launch Vehicle Mark 3, LVM-3, more robust so that it does not have any problems. He added that the space agency has also lined up the first test flight of the abort mission for Gaganyaan, the country's first human space flight, early next year. Mr. Somnath said that ISRO also plans to fly Indian astronauts into the orbit by the end of 2024 after carrying out successful abort mission and uncrewed test flights.
Indian Space Research Organisation will launch its first dedicated commercial satellite, LVM-3, in the early hours of Sunday from Satish Dhawan Space Centre, Sriharikota. The launch of ISRO's heaviest launcher will be a historic milestone for its commercial arm, New Space India Limited. The organisation has signed 2 launch service contracts with UK's Network Access Association for launching OneWeb LEO broadband communication satellites on board LVM-3. OneWeb is a global communications network powered from space, enabling connectivity for governments, business and communities.
This is All India Radio, giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Pakistan's Election Commission, ECP, has disqualified former Prime Minister Imran Khan from holding public office for 5 years. The decision comes in the Tosha Khana case for hiding proceeds from the sale of gifts he received from foreign leaders. The 4-member bench, headed by the Chief Election Commissioner, Sikandar Sultan Raja, gave consensus ruling that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI chairman Khan cannot become a member of the parliament for 5 years. The bench also announced that action would be taken against him under the Corrupt Practices Law. The decision comes days after Khan's party swept the crucial by-elections earlier this week. It won 6 out of the 8 National Assembly seats and 2 out of the 3 provincial assembly seats. PTI Secretary General Asad Omar announced that the decision would be challenged in the Islamabad High Court. The ruling coalition government lawmakers had filed a case with the Election Commission of Pakistan in August against the cricketer-turned-politician seeking his disqualification. Imran Khan, who came to power in 2018, apparently received expensive gifts from rich Arab rulers during official visits, which was deposited in the Tosha Khana. Later, he bought those gifts at a discounted price as per the relevant laws and sold the same at hefty profits. Meanwhile, clashes erupted between Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf workers and police following the Election Commission's decision. According to local media reports, police detained PTI member of National Assembly Saleh Muhammad and a security guard at the ECP office in Islamabad during the protests. PTI workers have also demonstrated this by blocking roads and streets. The workers set fires to tires and blocked traffic in Islamabad, Rawalpindi and other Pakistani cities.
Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak were the leading potential contenders to replace the British Premier Liz Truss on Friday. Candidates are canvassing support to become the Conservative Party leader in a fast-track contest. Truss resigned on Thursday after remaining in power for 6 weeks. Those who want to replace her must secure 100 votes from the Conservative lawmakers by Monday to run in a contest which the party hopes will reset its ailing fortunes, with opinion polls suggesting the Conservatives would be all but wiped out if a national election were held now. The race is on to become the 5th British Premier in 6 years. The winner will be announced next week. In what would be an extraordinary comeback, Mr. Johnson, who was ousted by his lawmakers in July but remains popular with party members, was being touted alongside Mr. Sunak as a likely candidate. Britain's shortest-lived Prime Minister, Truss, quit after her economic plans were rejected by investors, hitting the pound and pushing up borrowing costs, forcing a U-turn under a new finance minister after she sacked her closest political ally.
In the United States, Diwali will be a holiday for the New York City public schools starting next year. Announcing the decision on Thursday, New York Mayor Eric Adams said this sends a message about the significance of the city's inclusiveness, and this long overdue step will encourage children to learn about the Festival of Lights. Adams was joined by the New York Assembly member Jennifer Rajkumar, who had introduced the legislation to recognize Diwali, and New York City Schools Chancellor David Banks. Legislators swapped out Anniversary Day, better known to old-timers as Brooklyn Queens Day, which is celebrated on the first Thursday in June for Diwali in the public school calendar. Jennifer Rajkumar, the first South Asian American woman ever to be elected to a state office in New York, while talking to media said the time has come to recognize over 2 lakh New Yorkers of the Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh and Jain faiths who celebrate Diwali, the Festival of Lights.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for crores of people across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani Ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we bring to you the story of India's achievements in sports from 1981 to 2013.
1982 was a very special year for sports in India when the country got to host the Asian Games again after 1951. The 9th season of the Asian Games was held from November 19th to December 4, in which 4,595 players from 33 countries participated. India did its best and finished 5th with a total of 57 medals, including 13 gold, 19 silver and 25 bronze. The day of 25th June 1983 became a memorable day of Indian cricket when India created history by winning the Cricket World Cup under the captaincy of Kapil Dev at the historic Lord's Ground.
And that's out. Yes, it's all over this time. Lost his nerve in the end, did Michael Holding, tried to swing that straight ball with the legs. Another wicket for Ahmednath, now Delighty Deluxe. 140 all out, West Indies. And the margin of their victory, 43 runs. India race into the pavilion with the Prudential Cup players.
P.T. Usha, the Paoli Express and the Queen of Athletics, has been a role model and inspiration for young girls across the country who have dreamt of taking up a career in sports, especially the track and fields events. In the 1984 Olympics, she missed the winning India's first medal in track and field in a photo finish as she stood fourth in the women's 400-meter hurdles and lost the bronze medal by 1/100 seconds. She has won 4 Asian gold medals and 7 silver medals.
पीटी उषा तेजी के साथ में फिनिश लाइन की तरफ बढ़ते हुए और उन्होंने इस रेस को पूरा कर दिया है 52.16 सेकंड के साथ में और जीत लिया है इस प्रतियोगिता का स्वर्ण पदक.
In 1996, Leander Paes created history by winning a bronze medal in tennis at the Atlanta Olympics. Mahesh Bhupati became the first Indian tennis player to win a Grand Slam title in 1997. He won the French Open mixed doubles title with Japanese player Rika Hiraki. Vishwanathan Anand became the first Asian to win the World Chess Championships in 2000. He went on to lift the world title 4 more times. Karna Malleswari wrote yet another golden chapter in the Indian sports history by becoming the first Indian woman to win an Olympic medal. Malleswari bagged bronze in the 69 kg category of the weightlifting championship at Sydney Olympics in 2000. Anju Bobby George created history and became the first Indian medalist at the World Athletics Championships when she took the long jump of 6.7 meters bronze in Paris in 2003. Colonel Rajavardhan Singh Rathore won the country's first individual Olympic silver medal when he was placed second in the men's double trap shooting event at the Athens 2004 Olympic Games. 11th August 2008 is a red letter day in India's sporting history, the day when the Indian tricolour was raised and the national anthem was played at the Beijing Olympics, when Abhinav Bindra had won us our first individual gold medal at the Olympics. India scripted history by winning over 100 medals at the 2010 Delhi Commonwealth Games, winning 101 medals and finishing second with 39 gold, 26 silver and 36 bronze medals. April 2nd, 2011 saw India lift the Cricket World Cup after 28 years when Mahendra Singh Dhoni's six sealed the match against Sri Lanka in the final at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. The nation erupted in joy.
Dhoni finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup after 28 years. The parties start in the dressing room, and it's an Indian captain who's been absolutely magnificent in the night of the final.
The god of Indian cricket, Sachin Tendulkar, proved his amazing batting capabilities as he became the first batsman to make 100 international centuries in 2012. In the 2012 London Olympics, MC Mary Kom won a bronze medal in boxing, while in badminton, Saina Nehwal added another bronze for the country. With this, India got 2 women medalists for the first time in Olympic history. India won a total of 6 medals in the London Olympics. In tomorrow's issue, we'll talk about India's achievements in sports after 2014.
The Sensex and the Nifty on Friday witnessed marginal gains. Both indices added even as the cues from the global share markets were negative. The Sensex closed above 59,300 points, while the Nifty settled above 17,550 level. We have a report from the business desk.
Sensex rose by 104 points of 0.18% to finish at 59,307. Nifty also added 12 points of 0.07% to end at 17,576. Now, the global stock markets, Asian stocks today posted losses following losses in the US stock markets. Singapore's Straits Times Index ended 1.8% down, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index and Japan's Nikkei 225 both fell 0.4%. South Korea's Kospi slipped. China's Shanghai Composite Index added 0.1%. European share markets were also down in intraday trade. Oil rose around 0.5% in hopes of higher Chinese demand and output cuts by OPEC and its allies. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $92.80 per barrel. Back home at the multi-commodity exchange, gold futures for December was trading at 49,995 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for December was trading at 55,705 rupees per kilogram when reports last came in. And in the foreign exchange market, the rupee strengthened by 7 paise against the US dollar. The domestic currency closed at 82 rupees and 69 paise against the American unit. Arjun Chowdhury for World News, All India Radio.
Moving on to sports now. In cricket, two-time champions West Indies have been knocked out of the T20 World Cup after losing to Ireland in the final Group B clash of the tournament. Ireland defeated the West Indies by 9 wickets in the game at Belrive Oval in Hobart. In another Group B clash, Zimbabwe defeated Scotland by 5 wickets and advanced to the Super 12. Qualifier matches of the tournament concluded on Friday with 4 teams advancing to the Super 12 round. Final Super 12 teams in Group 1 are Australia, New Zealand, Afghanistan, England, Sri Lanka and Ireland. And in Group 2 are India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, South Africa, Netherlands and Zimbabwe.
Nigeria have booked its place in the semi-finals of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. They defeated USA 4-3 in penalty shootout in the first quarterfinals at D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai on Friday. The two teams were 1-1 after the full time of play. USA topped Group A by beating India and Morocco. On the other hand, Nigeria came from Group B after defeating New Zealand and Chile.
In badminton, India's Lakshay Sen will take on Japan's Kodai Naraoka in the men's singles quarterfinal on Friday night. Lakshay Sen beat compatriot H.S. Pranoy. However, former world number 1 Kidambi Shrikant was knocked out in the round of 16 after losing to former world champion Loh Keen Yew of Singapore. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Washington Post observes that race for British Prime Minister is on again after Liz Truss quits.
The Financial Times in a lead item says Germany concedes move to cap gas prices as EU wrestles with energy crisis.
The Guardian writes airline hired for UK's Rwanda deportation pulls out of scheme.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Snap stock slumps pre-market as sales growth slows, advertisers cut spending.
Asahi Shimbun says Kishida plans to sign new security declaration while visiting Australia.
The Globe and Mail writes Russia plans to blow up dam that would flood a swathe of southern Ukraine, Zelensky says.
And the South China Morning Post reports that Japan could be Asia base for international court, ICC head keen to set up first regional office. And before we end, a quick look at the headlines once again. India calls for concerted efforts to fight terrorism globally. Pakistan Election Commission disqualifies former Prime Minister Imran Khan from holding public office for 5 years. In the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak lead race to become the next Prime Minister. Diwali to be a public school holiday in New York City starting next year. In sports, in the T20 World Cup, two-time champions West Indies knocked out of the tournament by Ireland. And in Denmark Open Badminton, Lakshay Sen to take on Kodai Naraoka of Japan in the men's singles quarterfinal at Odense.
And now before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Turkey.
Jannatu, tene kahi ji,
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.